This is Iran, but not the Iran of headlines and political soundbites. This is the Iran of ancient Persia, the Iran that gave birth to poets who captured the essence of love and loss in words still whispered today, the Iran of mathematicians and engineers who unlocked secrets we barely understand even now. In this land, ancient architects carved entire villages straight into the cliffs, shaping dwellings that seemed to grow out of the rock itself. Even today, families live inside these cool, organic shelters, continuing a story thousands of years in the making. Iran's deserts, so fierce and merciless that they resemble the surface of another planet, have been transformed into havens through ingenuity, so much so that NASA sends its rovers here to test them before sending them to Mars. If you think you know Iran, forget it. Because what you think you know is just a thin shadow of a place infinitely more complex and beautiful than you can imagine. Iran may be the most misunderstood country on Earth. Sometimes, the most astonishing stories bloom in the places we're warned not to look. Iran lies at a crossroads, a land where empires collided and merged. To the west, the Ottoman Empire once flexed its power. To the east, the Silk Road unraveled its endless thread all the way to China. The winds from the north carried stories from Central Asia, while to the south, the Persian Gulf tied Iran to India and beyond. This is where humanity's greatest ideas and worst battles have intersected for millennia. But Iran isn't frozen in the past, it's alive and beating with energy. It's a place where old and new breathe side by side, where prayer calls echo over rush hour traffic jams, where centuries-old poetry lives in casual street conversations, and where tradition and progress find a delicate balance in daily life. Begin in Tehran, a city that feels like a living contradiction. Here, the snow-capped Alborz Mountains guard the horizon, while below 12 million people move through a sprawling labyrinth of streets and highways that never seem to rest. The Azadi Tower stands like a silent sentinel, its white marble gleaming in the sun. Built in 1971 to honour 2,500 years of Persian kingship, it weaves ancient Persian motifs with modern lines, representing continuity between what was and what could be. After the 1979 revolution, its name changed to the Freedom Tower, a new identity on the same skin of marble and stone. Nearby, the Milad Tower pierces the sky. At 435 meters tall, it is a symbol of Iran's technological ambitions, designed to withstand the earthquakes that frequently rattle the city below. It serves as both a communications hub and a lighthouse of progress, looking over Tehran's restless sea of rooftops. In the Golestan Palace, past and future converse in whispers of silk and crystal. Walk through grand halls where French chandeliers dangle above Persian mosaic walls, and mirrored salons shatter reflections into 1,000 fragments of light. The marble throne room is heavy with the memory of power, of kingly processions and political chess games that once shaped the region. Then there's the Grand Bazaar, a living artery of trade and tradition. Step inside and the air thickens with the smell of saffron, sumac, rosewater and freshly ground spices. The clang of copper artisans at work harmonises with merchants hawking silk carpets and delicate jewellery, smartphones and ancient handicrafts, all under the same domed roofs. Above it all, Mount Damavand, Iran's highest peak and a dormant volcano, looms like a myth turned real. In ancient tales, it imprisoned dragons. In modern Tehran, it towers as a quiet witness to the city's every joy and sorrow. On clear mornings, its snowy crown glows with an ethereal light, dwarfing every skyscraper in sight. Tehran isn't a city that forces you to choose between the future and the past. It insists that both belong at the table side by side in a chaotic, beautiful banquet. Travel south to Kashan, a city that perfected the art of elegant domestic life. Here, Persian architecture achieves a quiet grace, focused not on power or spectacle, but on comfort and harmony. Walk through the Tabatabai and Borojerdi houses, where wind towers funnel breezes through courtyards filled with gentle water fountains and fragrant flowers. In these homes, every curve and every window was designed to soothe the soul, to invite you inward. The Fin Garden in Kashan is a vision of paradise made real. Laid out in the 16th century, its carefully ordered channels and cypress-shaded paths embody the Persian belief that paradise is not only a promise after death, but something to cultivate and live within now. At the Sultan Amir Ahmad bathhouse, you step into a world of domes and mosaics, where every bath was both a cleansing ritual and a social sanctuary. Here, people would wash away the dust of the desert, cleanse their spirits, and share stories that might stretch back centuries. From Kashan, the road leads to Isfahan, the city once known as half the world. Stand in Naqsh-e Jahan Square and feel time warp around you. Imagine it centuries ago when London was still dark and muddy and this square shimmered under lantern light. The Shah Mosque, with its kaleidoscopic blue tiles, seems to shift in colour as the sun moves across the sky. Its calligraphy-covered walls feel almost like prayers made solid. Just across, the smaller but no less magnificent Sheikh Lotfollah Mosque glows with an intimate light, as though inviting you into a private moment with the divine. The Jami Mosque is like a living timeline, each corridor revealing another chapter in the story of Persian Islamic architecture. You walk through centuries in minutes, from humble brick domes to exquisite tile mosaics. At Ali Kapı Palace, climb to the music room where carved niches shape the sound itself, turning every note into a living echo. From its balcony, Imagine kings gazing over polo matches and royal celebrations, the whole square below like a living theatre. Cross Isfahan's bridges at twilight, and you'll understand why poets immortalised them. The Sio-Sipol Bridge, with its 33 arches, transforms into a luminous necklace over the river when reflected in the water below. Isfahan feels like wandering through an empire's collective dream, a world where art and power blended seamlessly to create spaces that still breathe life into the present. Then, on to Yazd, a city that should not exist yet does, a testament to human will. Here, towering wind catchers pull down cool air, and underground qanats carry mountain water under the relentless desert sun. Houses of sun-dried clay curve gently into the landscape, naturally cool by day and warm by night. At night, Yazd becomes a celestial mirror. The stars glimmer above adobe rooftops, and the city merges with the desert, becoming almost invisible, as if it grew straight from the sand. Yazd is also the sacred heart of Zoroastrianism. In a temple here, a fire has burned continuously for over 15 centuries, a symbol of eternal light, watched over by families who have passed down this duty through countless generations. High on nearby hills, the towers of silence stand guard. Here, Zoroastrians left the bodies of the dead to be purified by birds, a ritual meant to protect earth and fire from defilement. Not far away, the Dasht-e Desert scorches under a brutal sun, temperatures soaring past 70 degrees Celsius. Wind has sculpted otherworldly rock formations that rise like giant frozen waves. It is a place that reminds you that beauty and danger often live side by side. Then comes Shiraz, the city of roses and poetry. At dawn, the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque comes alive in a swirl of pinks, purples and gold. A stained glass scatters sunlight into a dreamscape of colours. Visit the garden tomb of Hafez, where visitors murmur lines of his poetry under their breath, hoping to divine answers to life's deepest questions. Nearby, the shrine of Ali ibn Hamza shimmers in mirrors, creating a kaleidoscope of reflections that seem to dissolve reality. Shiraz once gave the world its famous grape, whose name now lives on in distant vineyards. Though the wine is gone, the spirit of sweetness and longing lingers in the city's gardens and verses. From Shiraz, travel back even further to Persepolis. Built by Darius the Great, these ruins were never meant to intimidate by force but to inspire unity. Bas-reliefs show delegates from across a vast empire bringing gifts, Egyptians with lotus flowers, Indians with ivory, each culture honoured and recognised. Nearby, Naqsh-e Rustam holds the colossal tombs of ancient kings. They stand high above the desert floor, as if to watch forever over the empire they once ruled. When Alexander the Great burned Persepolis, he thought he was erasing a civilization. But he couldn't destroy its ideas immortalized in the Cyrus cylinder, a clay declaration of human rights long before the concept even existed in the West. As dusk falls on these stones, they glow as though lit from within, and you can almost hear the ancient whispers calling for unity beyond borders. To the south lies the Persian Gulf. Before oil transformed the region, these waters sustained pearl divers and fishermen. Today, 21 million barrels of oil flow through the narrow Strait of Hormuz each day, linking Iran to the rest of the world in ways both vital and precarious. Yet the Gulf is more than geopolitics. On Keshem Island, sculpted canyons, lush mangroves, and hidden beaches reveal a softer, quieter side of Iran. Endangered turtles dig their nests in moonlit sand, just steps away from giant tankers carrying crude oil to distant ports. Further north, in Tabriz, we find echoes of trade caravans and empires long gone. The Blue Mosque, scarred by earthquakes, still shows glimpses of its once glorious mosaic skin, each fragment a testament to resilience. In Kandavan, villagers live in ancient cone-shaped rock homes, their honeycomb interiors cool in summer and warm in winter, a living echo of humanity's earliest architectural instincts. Lake Urmia glows pink under the sun, a living painting in flux. Its shrinking waters reveal salt-encrusted land like the bones of a forgotten giant. Beyond, the Caspian forests hold 1,000 secrets. These ancient woods, some older than any human monument, shelter rare leopards and echo with the songs of unseen birds. The village of Masuleh clings to the mountain like a stack of earthen steps, each rooftop a neighbour's courtyard. High above, Rudkan Castle hides in the misty green, reachable only by a climb that tests your spirit. Finally, in the arid south stands Bam. Once a bustling Silk Road fortress, its mud brick walls stood for 2 millennia before a devastating earthquake reduced them to rubble. Yet, just as Iran itself refuses to disappear, Bam rises again through the patient work of craftsmen, each brick laid by hand a silent promise of renewal. In 1979, Iran's story turned sharply. The revolution upended life, sweeping away Western fashions and nightlife, tightening laws and closing off doors even as it opened new ones, like broader educational opportunities for women. In a single stroke, Iran seemed to be rewritten. But look closer. 45 years is only a brief page in Iran's 7,000-year-old book. This is a land that carved entire villages into stone cliffs, that designed gardens to echo paradise, that solved impossible engineering puzzles before modern science even had names for them. Iran's soul is too deep, too layered to be defined by politics alone. When the headlines fade and the noise subsides, Iran's true spirit remains, shimmering through poetry, flowing through ancient aqueducts, rising in turquoise domes, whispering through gardens at sunset. Iran was extraordinary long before today's world took notice, and it will remain so long after we've turned the page. In the northwest, high in the misty mountains, the valleys of Kurdistan come alive each spring with wildflowers that spill across the hillsides like living carpets. Shepherds guide their flocks through these meadows, their songs drifting on the wind just as they have for generations. In small villages, people still weave intricate kilims by hand, each pattern carrying stories of family lineage, local legends and unspoken prayers. Head east and you find the remote Baluchi lands, where camel caravans once carried spices, silk and stories across endless deserts. Here, women wear bright embroidered dresses with mirrors sewn into the fabric to reflect away evil spirits, and music spills out from courtyards into the quiet desert night. In the far north, along the Caspian Sea, you'll discover a completely different Iran, lush, humid, and green. Rice paddies stretch to the horizon, tea plantations line the misty hills, and fishermen haul in fresh sturgeon destined to become prized caviar. In coastal towns, families gather in wooden houses built on stilts, and dinner tables overflow with freshly caught fish, fragrant herbs, and sour pomegranate sauces. The festivals, too, are like windows into the soul of this country. During Nowruz, the Persian New Year, the whole nation erupts into celebration as winter finally gives way to spring. Families set the haft-seen table with 7 symbolic items, each representing renewal and life. Strangers greet each other with smiles. Homes are filled with music and dance, and streets smell of hyacinths and freshly baked sweets. Further south, in the hot southern ports along the Persian Gulf, music from Africa echoes in the rhythms of the Bandari dances, a legacy of centuries-old maritime trade. These coastal communities have created a culture all their own, blending African, Arab and Persian influences into something utterly unique. The food here tastes of the sea, spiced fish, tangy pickles and sweet dates that melt in your mouth. Even in modern cities like Mashhad, Iran's spiritual heart and home to the shrine of Imam Reza, the 8th Shia Imam, you feel the pulse of devotion running through every alleyway. Millions of pilgrims travel here each year seeking comfort and connection, their prayers rising into the sky like invisible lanterns. And wherever you go, the hospitality remains the same, boundless, heartfelt, and sincere. Sit for even a moment, and someone will invite you in for tea, a handful of pistachios, or a meal that stretches on for hours, filled with laughter and stories. In Iran, guests are considered blessings, and even strangers become family at the dinner table. Iran is also a land of master craftsmen, miniature painters who spend weeks on a single brushstroke, metal workers who chase delicate designs into trays and vases, carpet weavers whose creations are so detailed they appear almost alive. Each piece carries with it centuries of tradition and the fingerprints of countless ancestors. beneath it all runs a quiet current of poetry. From the ghazals of Hafez to the epic verses of Ferdowsi, words in Iran are not just a means of communication, they're lifelines, tools of resistance, declarations of love, and keys to understanding the universe. In every home, on every tongue, poetry lives and breathes, binding past to present in ways no border or government can ever erase. And as you leave, you realize that Iran is not simply a country to be seen, it is a country to be felt. It challenges you to look past what you've heard, to peel away the headlines, and to listen closely to the voices rising from its ancient stones, fragrant gardens, and bustling bazaars. Iran is a place where contradictions are not conflicts but harmonies, where the old does not vanish in the presence of the new, but dances alongside it. It's a place where every mountain peak, every courtyard fountain, every alley and every cup of tea is an invitation to discover something deeper about the world, and maybe even about yourself. So if you ever have the chance to stand on that rooftop in Isfahan, as the sun sinks below the horizon and the city lights start to glow, take a moment to breathe it all in. Let the wind carry the scent of blooming jasmine and the echo of an old poem to your heart. Because in that instant, you might realize the real story of Iran is not something you can simply watch or read about. It's something you carry with you long after you've gone. Think of the small mountain villages where old men sit outside tea houses, playing backgammon with a cigarette balanced on their lips, laughing loudly as the afternoon drifts by in a golden haze. Children chase each other through narrow alleys, their laughter bouncing off ancient mud brick walls that have seen centuries of sun and dust. Imagine the desert nights, when the sky becomes a black ocean studded with 1,000 stars so close, it feels as though you could reach up and gather them in your hands. Bedouin camps flicker with lantern light, and soft songs in Farsi float through the cool air, carried beyond the dunes. In these moments you feel time stretch and vanish altogether. The present, past and future all collapse into one heartbeat. In the deep bazaars of cities like Kerman, you might stumble into a tiny spice shop where the walls are lined with jars holding centuries-old secrets. Dried rose petals, wild cumin, sun-dried limes. The shopkeeper might offer you a pinch to taste, his eyes crinkling with joy as he explains the ancient healing powers hidden in each blend. Travel deeper into the Alborz Mountains, and you'll find ancient fortresses perched impossibly high, where Persian warriors once stood watch over the valleys below. Hike up winding paths shrouded in mist, past hidden waterfalls and wild pomegranate trees, and imagine the centuries of footsteps that have carved those trails into the stone. Further east, in the oasis town of Garmeh, hidden among towering palm groves and crystal clear springs, you'll find clay guest houses where travellers gather under starlight, sharing meals of fresh dates, warm flatbread, and saffron rice. Here, conversations stretch late into the night, accompanied by the gentle strumming of a sitar, an old Persian string instrument. Strangers become friends and time feels irrelevant. In smaller coastal villages along the Persian Gulf, women still sing old sea shanties as they weave fishing nets, their voices echoing over the waves. Fishermen return before dawn, their small boats heavy with silverfish shimmering in the moonlight. Breakfast here is fresh, simple, and prepared with a reverence for the sea, a reminder of how deeply nature is intertwined with every aspect of life. And then there are the unexpected, quiet surprises. A young artist painting delicate miniatures in a small workshop in Yazd, mixing natural pigments the same way artisans did 1,000 years ago. A university student in Shiraz reciting verses of Rumi under his breath as he walks to class, finding guidance in the words of an ancient poet. A grandmother in Tabriz making naqsh-e, a thick herb and noodle soup, whispering blessings into the pot for the health of her family. In every region, you find people who embody resilience. Shopkeepers who have rebuilt their stands after earthquakes. Weavers who continue to dye wool in small courtyard workshops, despite modern pressures. Musicians who keep age-old melodies alive against all odds. And still the poetry flows, often unspoken but present in gestures, in the aroma of fresh bread, in a single rose tucked behind an ear. Because here, poetry isn't just written in books, it's lived every day. Iran is a place where history doesn't simply exist in museums or textbooks. It breathes in the dust, glows in the coloured glass of mosques at dawn, and whispers in the wind that runs across empty plains. Every journey down an old alley, every tea shared with a stranger, every small act of kindness becomes part of a story that has been unfolding for millennia. Long after you've left, when you hear the rustle of leaves or smell the hint of cardamom in your tea, memories of Iran return like soft echoes. You'll remember the warmth of strangers who insisted you stay for dinner, the hushed reverence of a shrine at midnight, the desert stars so bright they seemed to set the sky on fire. In the end, Iran isn't a place you simply visit. It's a place that visits you again and again in dreams and sudden flashes of memory. It reminds you that even in a world so quick to divide and simplify, there are places too vast, too intricate, too deeply human to be captured in a single story. And so, the real journey doesn't end when you board a plane or close a guidebook. It continues in your heart, whispering softly whenever you find yourself wondering what it means to belong, to create, to endure. Because Iran is more than a country. It's a living poem, and if you let it, it will write itself into your soul. In the shadow of the towering Zagros Mountains, villages hum with life as farmers tend to pomegranate orchards, glowing like rubies in the sun. Here, traditions have been handed down in whispered stories and weathered hands, from one generation to the next, unbroken despite the upheavals of time. The scent of saffron lingers in the air, that precious red gold harvested by delicate fingers from fields bathed in sunlight. In these small villages, saffron isn't just a spice, it's a symbol of patience, of hope, and of a connection to the earth that sustains life through harsh winters and blazing summers. Journey to the northern forests bordering the Caspian Sea, where ancient trees reach skyward, their branches tangled like the roots of history itself. These woods shelter rare species, elusive Persian leopards, silent brown bears, living reminders that nature's pulse beats strong here, despite centuries of change. Here too the music of the region rises, haunting melodies played on the ney, the Persian flute echoing through valleys misted with morning fog. Music, like poetry, is woven into daily life, a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds. In the remote province of Sistan and Baluchistan, the deserts give way to salt flats and rugged plateaus. The people here, proud and fiercely independent, guard customs as old as the land itself. Their colourful embroidery, vibrant and intricate, tells stories of resilience and identity that no written history could capture fully. Cross the country's vast landscapes, and you'll find Iranian cuisine revealing itself in endless variety. Saffron-infused stews in the mountains, fresh grilled fish by the sea, hearty lamb kebabs served with fragrant herbs and nuts, and sweet pastries filled with rosewater and pistachio. Each dish is a story, a memory of family gatherings, festive celebrations, and quiet moments of gratitude. Look deeper, and you discover Iran's intellectual legacy. Not just poets and mystics, but philosophers and scientists who laid foundations for modern knowledge. Avicenna, the father of early medicine, whose writings shaped centuries of healing. Omar Khayyam, whose mathematical genius was rivaled only by his poetic soul. And so many others whose work transcended borders and eras. In bustling university halls, students debate passionately, carrying the torch of inquiry and creativity. Despite political isolation, Iran's scholars remain connected to global currents of thought, contributing new ideas, inventing, innovating. And Iran's art beats vibrantly in contemporary forms as well. Painters, filmmakers, photographers, and writers who use their crafts to navigate identity, history, and modernity. Their work bridges worlds, offering fresh perspectives on a country often obscured by stereotypes. The spirit of Iran, you realize, is not confined to monuments or texts. It pulses in the rhythm of daily life, in laughter shared over tea, in the determined hands that rebuild after earthquakes, in the peaceful prayers offered at twilight. Even the language itself, Persian, is a melody that wraps around concepts and emotions with nuance and grace. Words become acts of beauty, tools to connect past and present, heart and mind. So when you think you've seen Iran, remember, you've only glimpsed a single thread of a vast tapestry. Behind every tile, every garden, every mountain and desert, there lies another story waiting patiently to be discovered. And those stories will keep calling you back over and over again, inviting you to walk their ancient paths to listen with an open heart, to be transformed. Because Iran is not a destination. It's a journey without end, a journey into history, into culture, into resilience, and above all into the enduring human spirit. And that perhaps is the greatest story Iran has to tell. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until we meet again for another hidden chapter of our beautiful, complex world,